likes to play little tricks. He said to me, look, Brian, you know, it's the first Joomla day. You've got to make sure, you know, none of this geeky stuff. Yeah, let's be formal. Put your suit on. And he turns up and he's got his chinos and his shirt on. So if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to get a little bit more comfortable. Because despite what people think, you know, I do spend a lot of time doing Joomla stuff. And it's kind of inbred into me. So, as Ryan said, I'm one of the original co-founders of Joomla 6 years ago. There was I'm here from England, and I spend a lot of my time professionally doing Joomla consultancy in the UK for the government and for lots of large corporates. Unfortunately, I can't show you any websites that I've ever built because they're all behind a corporate firewall. I can tell you that some of them have got hundreds of thousands of users, and they're very big. But so, to look at what Joomla is today, we have to look at what Joomla was, where it came from. This is the group of about 14, 15 of us who met for the first time in 2005 when we started Joomla. This was when we met after we'd started. You have to remember, we'd never met each other. Yeah, I'd met one or two people, a couple of others had met someone, but we'd never got together. It was the whole thing was done online. And when we launched Joomla itself, when we announced the name, this is a Google search for Joomla on September the 1st, I think, 2005. And you can see we've got 4 hits. I don't know what the count is today, but it's a little bit more than 4. I think it's one of those, I think if anyone does it, I think it stops at 360 million, and Google says that's enough, I'm not going to count anymore. So we've come from small beginnings, and we've got quite big. In fact, we've got so big that, I'm going to go back to, we've got so big that we even have a song. Yeah, now, it's not a song that's going to win the Eurovision Song Contest, but who knows, maybe it's one that's going to win the X Factor. So, Joomla's... So, Ryan was asking about how people can contribute, post on the forums. Great songs. Everything's different, but Joomla's all about you. It's not about people sitting in a room writing code. It's all about you. Joomla doesn't help you write great code. Only you can write great code. It's not all about, Joomla itself doesn't mean if you use Joomla, you're going to build a great website. Trust me, I've seen some horrendously bad websites built with Joomla. It's about you. These are just some of the websites that I made a small video of from around the world that we can see. There's global names that you'll recognize, there's some that you won't recognize. But the point is that you can build any type of website you want with Joomla. You're not limited. You're not restricted. The limitations and the restrictions are here in your head. Yeah? It's down to how creative you can be. Joomla is all about giving you the tools and the opportunity to build a great website. Yeah? It's not about, you know, a stock template. You click, you open this file up, and you change your company name, and you put that there. You know, we've all seen your websites, and you go, I know that website, I know that website, I know that website, they all look the same. Joomla's not about that. Joomla's about allowing you to express your creativity in what you can do. So, Joomla in 2011. Brian mentioned we've got a new version, Joomla 1.7. It's part of the new tree, the new way of releases. We've been a bit slow in the past. Joomla 1.0 took 3 years. Joomla 1.5 took 3 years. Joomla 1.6 took 3 years. Joomla 1.7 took 6 months. Yeah? The next version will also be out in 6 months' time. And just to really confuse you, it's not going to be called 1.8, it's going to be called 2.5. But if you want to ask me why, I can bore you for ages about what the reasoning is. But I'm not going to do it now because I'm not sure I fully understand it. But we're getting much faster. So what are some of the highlights of Joomla? What are some of the features that you can do in Joomla today that you couldn't do in Joomla before? So one of the first ones is what's called access control. It's controlling what can you add, what can I see, what can I do. Yeah? You can put users in multiple groups. Multiple groups can do multiple things. They can see different content. You can create a website for, let's say, a school, and you can give students access to one part, and teachers access to another part, and parents access to another part, and the headmaster and headmistress access to everything. And this was a change because in the old versions of Joomla, we just had a strict hierarchy, and if you were at the bottom, you could do this, and then you could do a bit more, and then a bit more. So now you've got full control. Just a little warning, this full control over who can do it what, who can see things, is hard. Yeah? It's not easy. It's easy to make little mistakes. So there's a sort of a rule. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. I mean, some people say that to me about these trousers. Brian, just because you can wear these trousers really doesn't mean you should wear them. But, you know, it's my free will, so I'm going to do it. It's the same with the ACL. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you say you should. But if you do, you can look as cool as me. So one of the other things that's changed is Joomla used to have an organization structure for its content called sections, categories, articles. And it was a very strict structure, and that was it. So that's gone. We've got rid of the word sections, and we just have the word categories, and you can have as many categories as you want with unlimited depth. And it just gives you some more flexibility, makes it easier for you to organize your content. So the next thing that's happened in Joomla 1.6, 1.7, big changes are when it comes to translation. So Joomla has always been really proud that we support more languages than any other CMS. And right now, I used to have a slide that says we support 64 different languages. Last week, the 65th language was added. It's Scottish Gaelic, which is a huge audience. I mean, there must be all of 4 people in the world that use it. But it's available. If you want to do a website in Scottish Gaelic, you can do. But the other things we've done that's made it different is, in the past, it was very difficult to do a website in Ivrit and English together, or in Ivrit and Russian and English, or in Ivrit and Arabic and Russian and English. And the more languages you add, the more complicated it got. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to make it a little bit easier, and you're now able to build websites in Joomla that support multiple languages, and you can have drop-downs to flip between the languages. You can have multiple languages on the page at one time. You can do pretty much whatever you want to do. It's not quite perfect yet, but we're getting there. Okay? It's a process. It's a process of improvement and working along all the time. Right-to-left languages like Hebrew have always been well supported by the core of Joomla, but unfortunately some of the people who design templates and extensions, they don't really understand right-to-left languages. Yeah, they've never seen Hebrew, they've never seen Arabic. Yeah? They don't know that it means that everything starts on this side and goes to this side. They don't understand the complexity that you get when you add punctuation, like question marks and exclamation marks, because that can start to get really funky if you don't know how to do right to left correctly. And that's where communities around the world start to help. Yeah, that's where you can help. That's where if you get an extension, a template, an add-on for Joomla, anything like that, and you switch to Ivrit, and you notice that the right to left doesn't work properly, don't just sit there and go, this is rubbish. Don't just sit there and go, well, I'll try something else. And you don't even need to sit there and go, well, I'm clever, I know how to change the code to fix it, and keep it to yourself. Open up your email, open up Twitter, the forums, whatever, and say, hey guys, this extension, this template doesn't quite work correctly in Hebrew. This is the error that I'm getting, this is the problem that I'm getting. And that's enough, that's brilliant, because you've told the developer that there's an issue. If you're also able to tell the developer how to fix it, even better. Yeah? But it doesn't need to be that. It's enough that you've told them. Don't just sit there and go, they know. I don't need to tell them, because they probably don't know. Most developers, like Nicholas, are really good. If you tell him something, he'll go, I didn't know about that. Oh, thank you for telling me. 2 hours later, there's a new version released, and it's all done. Okay, that's Nicholas. It's 2 hours. Other people, it's a little bit longer. But that's the point. Don't just sit there. This is your opportunity. This is your opportunity. Joomla's not about going, oh, this is buggy, or this doesn't work, or this doesn't work for me. It's about you getting the software, and if you find something, telling people that there's an issue, that there's a problem. So as you can see here, we can now actually do what we call language-specific content. You can actually tag all your articles for a different language, or for all languages, and this is going to just work out how it's displayed on the page. So something else that's new in the current versions of Joomla, we've all seen this 404 pages, yeah, page not found, component not found. And it happens quite a lot when you move from an old website to a new website. Maybe you had a website that you built in Dreamweaver, and you've now got a nice, shiny new website built in Joomla. And what happens to all those links that are on Google and on other people's websites to pages that no longer exist? Well, before, what you could do is you could write some really complicated rules in a special file, and it's going to translate it, and you may do it, it may work, it may not work, and people will still see these error pages. So what we can do now is we have a thing called the redirect manager. And what the redirect manager does is it creates a log of all the 404 pages, pages that people try to access on your site that no longer work. And then what it allows you to do is you can then go in and you can put in the source URL, the old URL, the one that's not working, and you can put in the URL that you want it to go to now, and you press save, and then as if by magic, if someone goes to your website, clicks on that link that should have been a 404, it now gets redirected to the correct page. Yeah? Makes life a lot easier. It's a big, big improvement.
How is it? Is it 301 redirect?
Is it 301 redirect, Nicholas? 403.
I think it's 302.
302. Not necessarily. We can talk about why there are reasons for you might not wanting to do that afterwards. Okay, so have a look at some other features. One of the other things is Joomla now works a lot faster. Yeah, it allows you to create websites faster. Some of it's just very, very small changes. So there used to be, people will be familiar, there used to be on the toolbar it said save, apply, cancel, which was really annoying because what used to happen is you're used to using a program and you're working, and those of us who are a bit older would always talk, keep saving your work as you go along. So you open Joomla, you start typing your article, and you press save, and what did Joomla do? It used to close everything down because it thinks you've finished. So you had to remember, no, press save, press apply. And then you would have to create another article, and you would go and create another article, so you've gone back to the list again, and you have to go new, and you do that. And then if you wanted to copy an article to use it as the base for something else, you would have to open the article, copy it, close it, open the copy, save it, rename it. Big, big pain. So now we've got rid of save and apply. Save does exactly what you think it does. It saves and keeps going. Save and close does everything that you expect it to do. It saves and closes. Save and new does everything you expect to do. It says save, I've finished with this one, and guess what? I want to write something else. So I don't want to go back to the menu again and click, click, click. It's just straight on. And save as copy does the same thing. And guess what? This one at the end here, it says help. If you click on that, someone gives you some help. It's clever, this Joomla stuff. So some of the other things is, if you want to create a new article, what you used to have to do is you used to have to go to the content menu, you click on Article Manager, you get a list of all the existing articles, and then you click on New, and it opens. But I already knew I wanted to do a new one. So someone had this really brilliant idea, so really simple ideas, right there on the menu. Why don't we just add a button that says, Add a new one? So it's there. It's add a new article, add a new menu. They're all there directly from the menu. It's reducing the number of clicks. The less clicks you have to do, the quicker it is, the easier it is. Those of you who spent time building a lot of websites, if you haven't used 1.7 yet, you'll really see your time to build websites go down. All these little changes make a big difference. So modules is something else that's had a big facelift in Joomla. Modules are those little blocks of information that go around the outside of the website. So one thing we can do now is, you used to be able to say, well, I want the module to appear on this page, or I want it to appear on all pages. And what we could do now is we can do those options, but we also got a new fourth option, only on the pages except the ones I selected. So in other words, an exclusion list. Yeah. It's a little change, but trust me, I know from my own experience, it makes a big, big difference. Something else you can do now, content has always been able to have a start and an end publishing date. It automatically disappears off your website. What about modules? Well, modules, you could never do that. So if you had a nice little block on your website and it says, come to Joomla Day Tel Aviv on the 10th of October, on the 10th of October, you want that module to disappear. You don't want it to still be there. Out-of-date content is one of the worst things on the web. Yeah? With Joomla, you should never have out-of-date content, and now you don't need to have out-of-date modules, because I know when I created that module that said, I'm going to Joomla Day Tel Aviv, I knew that on the 10th of October it would be out of date and it should disappear off the website. So I don't need to make a note in my diary to go back to the website and check it. I can just, as I'm creating the website, I can put in a start date and an end date if I want to, and it will just automatically disappear. I don't need to do anything, it will just go, as if by magic. Something else that people used to object to was when you get modules are all assigned to connected to menus. But you went into the menu manager and you created a new menu. This is a new menu to list all the articles. You couldn't tell which modules were connected to that menu. The only way to do it was to go to the modules and go into each individual module and say, where is it connected to? What's it connected to? So now you can go directly inside the menu. You can look at which modules have been assigned to it. And just as a last-minute change to the code base, someone went, actually, it's not enough just to see which modules are there. Why don't we actually let you change it at the same time? Yeah, so you can actually click on it, and it takes you to the relevant part of the module manager, and you can change it. So again, it's just little things that give you more power, more flexibility, making your life easier. So Joomla's looking a lot hotter these days as well. Templates have been given a lot more power. So quite often I have clients and they say, how much is this website going to be? I said, well, it depends what you want. He said, well, I want it in green. I said, oh, it's 4,000 shekels. I said, well, how much is it in red? It's 4,000 shekels. Well, I want each page of the website in a different color. Well, it's 4,000 plus 4,000 plus 4,000, because each website had, for each one of those template options, you had to build a new template. Yeah? It might be a copy with just the colors changed, but you still had to use multiple templates. So one of the changes, one of the things we've done is we've now got what's called styles. So if you go into your template manager, and you might see some options on the template, and it might say I want a red one and a blue, or I might want it to be this wide, or so anything like that. What you do now is you save that as a style, and you can apply that style, and then you can go back into your template and create a new style. So you now save it as the red one, save it as the green one. So it doesn't matter anymore. You can create multiple versions of the template called styles, all from the one template. There's no more tables in Joomla. Tables have gone. Except where you should use tables, when you're displaying tabular data, and then you can, of course, insert tables. Joomla natively supports XHTML standards and also HTML5 directly out of the box, no problem at all. I've just built a test website for a Microsoft project. It's all HTML5, media selectors, responsive, what's the word for it? Responsive design, where it chooses different layouts and things like that based on the screen that I'm using, whether it's on an iPad or an iPhone, all from within one template. Yeah, there's no op testers or anything like that. It just works through the power of HTML5. We can also do something called customize the layout. So you might be familiar, you had, if you were doing an article, what's called a blog view, which was like a cut and paste of the introductions from articles. Whatever styling you gave that would be the styling for every time you use that option on the website. Yeah? But if you had a news section and a sports section and a social section, they would all use the same styling. So now we can actually do that differently. We can have multiple layouts for each different type of thing. And they're just little snippets of code that go with, that sort of connect with your template and allow you that flexibility to really do stuff. So you don't have to recode the whole thing. You don't have to hack around with core files to make things change. You just flip the options and you're there and it does it, and it's really easy. Accessibility is vastly improved in Joomla now. Accessibility, the ability for people who are using, they may be blind and they're using a machine to read out the screen to them. They may not be able to use a mouse. Yeah, they may be using a pointer. Yeah, all sorts of different things. This is an alternative administrator template that ships with Joomla that satisfies all the accessibility guidelines. It's built in, it's provided there, you just have to enable it. It switches, bizarrely, the orientation is left to right. Now the toolbar goes left to right, just simply because you can't use the accessibility tools when everything's on the other side. They're in the wrong order. Yeah? So that's the most visual thing that you'll see. And you can, of course, it's your administrator template. It's where you do the work. So if you've got one of your content creators who needs that accessibility feature, you enable this template. And you only have to enable it for them. You don't have to enable it for the entire website. You can just do it per user or per group of users. And so you're not being restricted. You're not having to say everybody has to have it just because of one person. You can choose which one. If you want to move from previous versions of Joomla to the current version, Joomla 1.7, we call it a migration, not an upgrade. What does that mean? It means that there are tools available, and there's a link on there, which will allow you to extract all your content from a Joomla 1.5 and import it into a Joomla 1.7. But it's not a seamless translation. It's still going to need some work. You are still going to have to rebuild some things. Yeah, that's why it's a migration, not an upgrade. And it's a little bit hard, it's a little bit tricky, and we acknowledge that. And because we acknowledge that, some really talented developers got together and said, how can we change that? How can we get rid of that problem for the future? So now in Joomla 1.7, we've got something called one-click updates. So when Joomla 2.5, remember that's the version after 1.7, yeah, Joomla's so great we have to jump huge numbers each time. So that next version, and you're on 1.7 and you want to upgrade to 2.5, you can just click on one button directly inside Joomla and it will upgrade everything for you. Upgrade, not migrate, upgrade. It will do a seamless upgrade. Yeah? It's new. It's only been tested so far going from 1.6 to 1.7. So far, so good. Yeah? Obviously, over time, things will get better. More people use it. But it's pretty good right now. So if you haven't seen Joomla 1.7 yet, what I've shown you are just some of the highlights. You can go to joomla.org/17, and there you can download Joomla, or you can go to joomla.org.il and download Joomla in Hebrew. You can download it, you can install it, you can check it out. We've even got, there is a partnership with a cloud hosting company that lets you quickly create a 30-day test account so you can install it on there if you don't have your own hosting that you can use. So Joomla is all about people getting the opportunity. It's all about you. Yeah? There's no room sitting there of developers going,